The best part of being an engineer are the memes. Memes. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Wissam. So this video, I want to dive into the pros and the cons of being an engineer. Now, this is just opinions based off of my own experience. Okay, so take it for what it is. With that being said, let's dive into the pros. Pro number one is the overall enjoyment that you get with your work. The reason I think that most people become engineers is because they like to design. They like to use the math and physics and apply it to the real world. And when you do that, it's cool. It's a very kind of satisfying feeling. It's also very meaningful work too, right? Because you're contributing to the advancement of society. I mean, technology advances are driven by engineers. So it's very noble work. Now, not every job is going to be super interesting, and I'll get into that in the cons. But if you're lucky enough to sort of find a job that kind of ticks all these boxes, it is quite satisfying. It's very satisfying work. The second pro about being an engineer is working with a team. Engineers never work alone. You're always going to work with a team. You're going to have senior engineers, junior engineers, interns. It's very diverse. The things that I personally like most about being in a team is number one, the support. Because a lot of times you'll be working on things, you might be super frustrated because you can't figure out a problem. And I'm like, I can't wait till we have our 3 o'clock meeting and I can ask these guys all these questions and we kind of figure out the problems together, right? So it's a great support group. And teammates, they hold you accountable. They hold you accountable. I read a study where it said the number one reason that people go the extra mile at work is to gain the respect of their peers. That's pretty amazing, and it's true. I even feel it myself. What I would recommend if you guys are in school is start to work with other people, study with other people, form study groups. You don't want to work alone, and you don't want to get used to it because you have to work with people in the real world. Pro number three, I would say, is just the overall skills that you learn as an engineer. You learn a lot of different skills being an engineer, right? How to solve problems, how to focus, how to be present, how to lead, how to have responsibilities, how to communicate, how to organize, how to prioritize your tasks, how to work with your hands. All these skills are invaluable in life. A lot of people end up going on to other careers or maybe starting a business. And the skills that you learn in engineering, like I said, they're invaluable. You're going to use them in whatever it is that you do. And the last pro I would say would be the salary. Engineers, I believe, get paid the most for any bachelor's degree, compared to other degrees. Salary is important for job satisfaction. It's not the most important factor, but it is important. So those would be my 4 pros. Now let's get into the cons of engineering. The first con of engineering, I would say, is the overall competitiveness of the industry and even the lack of stability that's involved in it. Now, this does vary from country to country, and I'll get into that, but I want to talk about North America first. So here in North America, the unemployment rate for engineers does seem to be pretty on par with other industries. So I wouldn't say that it has a saturation problem, but engineering, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a recession-proof industry. A lot of times during a recession, engineers are actually the first to be I'm kind of laughing right now because I went through it. Okay, I worked in oil and gas, so I kind of experienced this firsthand. If you look also at some of the data from this year, the layoffs due to COVID, a good percentage of them have actually been engineers. Just to explain a little bit why engineers are often the first to be let go, they have high salaries and they don't bring an immediate return on investment. Now, I wouldn't say that it's totally attached to the economy, right? I mean, there's definitely some sectors that are more affected than others. And the nice thing about engineering is that if you do end up losing work, it's pretty diverse. You can maybe find work in a different sector that's not as affected. Now, let's talk about other countries because it's not the same in a lot of countries. India, for example, has a huge unemployment problem. 80% of engineers are out of work. There's just way too many graduates for the number of jobs there is, and then they end up working in IT or maybe having to move to another country to work, neither of which are desirable. It's a really sad situation. I get a lot of DMs from people from India be like, I work in IT, I can't find anything. It's unfortunate. Now, that's sort of an extreme case. From the other countries I've looked at, they don't seem to have that big of a problem. But definitely, if you're thinking about going into engineering, really, before you spend 4 years and all this money, definitely look into what the statistics show because the schools don't really give a shit. They're happy to take your money, it seems like. Do your homework to make sure that there's enough opportunities when you graduate so that you can find work. The second con I would say about engineering is the sometimes mundaneness of the work. Now, I know this contradicts what I said earlier, but there are definitely some jobs out there that are just not that engaging. But here's the thing though, a lot of times those jobs end up going to the fresh out of school graduates. You kind of have to, put in your dues for a couple years maybe before you get to kind of pick a job that you enjoy. With more responsibilities comes more enjoyment, and you end up getting to do more enjoyable work as you develop more experience. I think that's kind of life in general, right? You just got to put in your work before you're able to have options. The last con I would say, and I do this because I don't really consider it a con so much, but it is the overall stress of being an engineer. Like it's a stressful job. You're always working with deadlines as an engineer, right? Always. You may have like a big project, but even within that project, you have goals that you have to hit. But that's what you want. You want that stress, right? You don't want a job without stress because it's boring, right? Having stress improves your performance, makes you more productive, and it builds your resiliency. When we do our testing, like a lot of times, you get anxious because, all right, it's time to test. We set everything up. We spend, 6-7 hours building it. Now, here we go. Let's see what happens. And you're kind of nervous. You want everything to work. And if it doesn't work, what are you going to do? Like this is all part of learning. This is part of, like I said before, learning that focus, that, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, we've checked all these, make sure everything's good. Like you're kind of prioritizing. You want to develop those skills. So yeah, is it tough sometimes? Absolutely. But I think I welcome it. I welcome it because you have to build that sort of resiliency. You have to build those skills. And yeah, that's my pros and cons. Again, this is just my experience, but hopefully it gave you guys a little bit of insight into the life of an engineer. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also check out the new Discord we got up. Thank y'all for watching. My name is Usam, and I'll see y'all later.